What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 171 of the Stand Up Guys podcast. I'm your host, the incomparable Zach Jones, joined as always by the Ninth Wonder, Chocolate Thunder, munching carpet that's moldy and sweating to the oldies. You better hide the hard candy and lock up your granny. He likes hands that can knit a sweater and skin like boot leather. The phenomenal A.J. Singh.
What's up, everybody?
I call that one my GILF intro.
That's funny because one of my articles talks about a gilf.
Oh, really? So yeah, AJ, it's been a while, but today we finally ran out of Marvel stuff to review, so we're kind of going to be doing a normal story-based episode.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, have you been, in the interim, have you watched anything you want to talk about, or have you done anything you want to talk about?
Gosh, man, I haven't really watched anything per se. I keep pussyfooting around it. Like, I need to start watching Invincible season 2. It's in the limelight right now. Everybody's watching it, so I definitely gotta get into that. And I know I need to get into The Boys too. Like, it's so, I don't know, so dense. There's so much stuff to catch up on. It's kind of overwhelming, but yeah, I need to get into those shows.
That's a problem if you don't get with the show right away. It just seems like it keeps building, and then before you know it, there's 5 seasons, and it's oh, this seems insurmountable to get into.
Exactly, yeah. And plus, I have a tendency to be okay, good shows I'll save for when I really want to watch them later or something. But it's
right.
What am I saving them for? There's gonna be more shows in the future, so yeah. But yeah, you've been watching Invincible, right?
I started season 2, but I'm not caught up. I only watched the first 2 episodes, which they were decent. But I think with Invincible, did you really like season 1 of Invincible? I thought it was okay. I wasn't blown away, but I thought maybe it's because I knew the comic book and I was I kind of knew all the big twists. But
yeah, the first half I liked a lot. The first half of it. Second half was kind of a little more predictable, I guess. But yeah, I still liked it.
Yeah, I'll definitely still keep watching it. Mm-hmm. There's a couple shows just started right now that I'm maybe I should watch them week to week, but I don't know. I just prefer, if I get hooked on something, to be able to watch that next episode, So it's I almost prefer to let them stack up. But I know the latest season of Fargo just started, which is a show I like.
Okay.
And there's a show called
Fargo's been going for a while, huh?
Yeah, this is the 5th season. But the cool thing about Fargo is each season is a completely standalone, different cast of characters, different time period. Okay. So you could actually watch them in any order you wanted to, and it wouldn't matter.
Okay. Cool.
And then there's a show on Hulu called Murder at the End of the World, which I just like murder mystery. So I'm it sounds like something up my alley. But again, I'm I might just wait for it all to be done before I dip in, Well, AJ, I've kept a list of the most of the things I've watched these last couple of months. So I figured
nice, yeah.
So number 1, it's sad, but I finished my rewatch of Becker. I watched all those DVDs, and I enjoyed myself thoroughly. Yes, Becker heads forever. I think the last time we talked about normal television, I was 1 episode away from finishing season 3 of Only Murders in the Building. So I finished that. Very good. I was a little off on the murder. I was on the right track, but I'll give myself a half a point, but I didn't quite get there.
So who was it? Do you want to spoil it?
I don't want to spoil it in case anybody watching cares. But they did also what they've been doing is each season will end with another murder that sets up the next season. Mm-hmm. And so they did that again, and I'm intrigued. It was a good cliffhanger, so I'm definitely up for anyone who's into murder mysteries like me. You should be watching Only Murders in the Building. It's very good. Mm-hmm. So AJ, I feel like I'm one of the last people on Earth that finally got around to watching The Last of Us. When it was going, I saw so much stuff online. It just seemed like everybody was watching it, and I was I played the game. I could wait. And the thing is, if you played the first Last of Us game, you won't be surprised by this series. Like, you'll know all the basic beats of what happens. But that being said, they did it very well. So, like, I would say even if you've played the game, like, you can totally watch this and still get enjoyment out of it.
It's been so long since I played that game that I pretty much forgot everything anyway, so it'd be brand new to me. Yeah.
There you go. On HBO, I also watched the second and unfortunately last season. It's not going to be renewed of their like Perry Mason show.
Okay.
It's like the origin, the dark origin of Perry Mason you never knew about.
Oh boy.
But no, it's just
his parents both die.
It's just a good like crime noir from that like old Hollywood period, and like it's just right up my alley. I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Okay.
A lot. So highly recommend. I wish it was renewed for another season, but it doesn't end like on a cliffhanger or anything. So if anyone's worried about that, you don't have to worry about that. You can totally watch it. I also I watched the third and I think final season of that Awkwafina show, Nora from Queens, on HBO. Mm-hmm. And it's just a super silly show. I like Awkwafina, and it's a very funny, quirky show. So if you're just want something quick and like funny, there's like short episodes. I had fun with it. Also, speaking of Awkwafina on Hulu, there's a movie called Quiz Lady, which is a comedy with her, where basically like. Like I think her mom like got caught up with the mob or something, and so she had to she ends up having to like go on this Jeopardy type game to try to win money and save her mom, and like she has this whole road trip with her sister who's like the complete opposite of the way she is, and it's I won't say it's necessary watching, but if you're just like in the mood for like an hour and a half like easy breezy comedy, you could do a lot worse. AJ, have you watched any of the James Bond movies?
No, never.
Never? No. So I didn't I had seen pieces and parts of it. I never watched a full one until like the Daniel Craig, like the most recent movies, Yeah. And those are pretty good. Like I could definitely recommend those, but like I've kind of wanted to go back and watch the older ones, like starting with like the Sean Connery ones, And I've watched like about 3 of them in the past. So I watched one more of those called Thunderball, and I gotta say, not very good. Like
it's a James Bond movie called Thunderball.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But like, it's very weird because like a lot of it takes place like underwater, and like the whole like final act is like this big like underwater fight of like guys in like scuba gear.
Like, they're so slow, and it's just...
so it's just like this big slow motion fight. I'm like, this was a terrible idea for like an ending.
Yeah. Like, and then how hard does a punch hurt underwater?
Exactly. And like and then the weird thing is, in other parts of the movie, not where they're underwater, which would maybe make more sense, but other parts of the movie, they like do that thing you sometimes see in old movies where they like speed up the tape and fast forward just so it looks like things are happening more quickly.
Yeah, okay.
But like there's this part on the boat again towards the end where like they speed up the tape and it just looks like they're going like 90 miles an hour, but they're really not, and it looks terrible. And I'm like, oh, why did they make these choices? So yeah, a couple of the other Sean Connery Bond movies I definitely liked more than this, but none as much as the Daniel Craig movie so far.
Okay.
Also on HBO, I finished Doom Patrol, so that's all wrapped up. Very good show. I will say they made a choice of ending on a very sad note, which I thought was a little weird since most of the show is like kind of funny, but still very good. A very good show. Oh, I just started. I'm actually about 3/4 of the way through it. Did you watch the show Justified back in the day?
Yeah.
It's an FX show. So this year they did a mini series that takes place like 15 years after the original Justified, called Justified City Primeval. And I'm really liking it so far. I think I only actually got like 2 episodes left, so I can't like totally put my stamp of approval on it. But so far, it's been very good.
Okay.
One thing I will say though, you ever watch like one of those sitcoms where it's like, kind of a schlubby dude, and he's like with like a super hot wife, where you're like, I know in real life he didn't get that hot wife,
Yeah.
or something like that. This almost had the opposite thing, where Timothy Olyphant's like love interest in this show. I'm like, there's no way a hunky guy like him would ever go for this. It's like
Really?
this, it's like this middle-aged, overweight, not very attractive woman, and I'm like, I was like, he's too hunky for her. Like, I could never believe they're together. Let's see. I also, my stupid screen here has. I also just because it's so me. Sometimes you have all these services and you're like, oh, there's so many new shows I should be watching. But every once in a while, you just go back to something comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've been watching. I went back to like the early seasons of the original CSI, just because I really like. Again, I like murder mysteries. And I know it's a very like procedural show, which some people don't really like. But still, I like it. Good murder mysteries. You get a little bit of the science stuff mixed in there. It's just, I don't know. It's a fun show. I will say, eventually, once the cast changes, like probably like, I don't know, 6 seasons in or something, it does get not very good. Like CSI eventually does go off a cliff. But like the early episode or early seasons with the original cast, they're pretty dang strong, I think.
Okay.
I also on HBO they have all those like animated like DC like features that are about like, I don't know, like an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes a piece,
Yeah.
So I watched. There's one called Injustice, which there's also they made a video game adaptation of it. It's a
It's
whole
like where
comic.
Superman becomes evil, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I watched that. It was decent.
Okay.
Oh, AJ, I was wondering. Okay, have you watched the Madam Web trailer?
Isn't that Sony?
It is.
I'm not even excited about it. I think Dakota Johnson's in it or something.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not excited about it, but you should watch it just so you can be like, ooh, yeah, it's Sony again. Man, it looks so terrible. Again, like,
are they money laundering over there? Like, what's going on?
I don't know. I think both this and Craven are coming out next year, and I know they're working on Venom 3, so there's a chance that might come out too. And I'm just not excited for any of these. They're all just terrible.
No, it's
but
bad.
Yeah, you should watch this trailer just for a laugh. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Just
I'll check it out.
Some of the lines in it are really. They seem like first takes, kind of. You know what I mean? So maybe they the final draft of the movie will be better, but yeah, it doesn't look good. And then the only other thing on my list is video game wise. It went on sale, so I've been playing that Hogwarts Legacy game that's like in the Harry Potter universe.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't know if I can render a verdict on it yet. My opinion so far is I think it's a decent game, but it's a little rough around the edges. I think like if they they'll almost certainly make a sequel because I think this is one of the best selling games of the year.
Yeah.
But I think if they concentrate on what worked here and kind of smooth out the edges of what didn't work, they could make a pretty good game. I think atmospherically it's pretty cool. Like the castle, Hogwarts Castle and stuff looks pretty cool. But it's just I don't know, the combat. I think both the combat and some of the exploration stuff could use some work. I don't know. It's I've run it, and also a few of the puzzle solving things were a little annoying. So there's some things they need to work the kinks out of. But like definitely like atmospherically, I think they got it down pretty good visually. So
okay.
I a Black Friday sale, they finally had God of War Ragnarok on sale. So I did buy it, AJ, but I probably won't get to it for. I want to say it was like $40 or something.
All right.
So I will get to it eventually, but I'll probably try to force myself to beat this Hogwarts game first.
But, I couldn't even get Ragnarok. I've seen the whole storyline over and over again now. It's like pointless for me.
But you can play it for the first time,
AJ.
Yeah. Although I think, the story, it probably is one of the bigger selling points of that franchise.
Right, yeah.
Now, not that the gameplay is bad by any means.
Right.
So AJ, anything else you want to talk about before we get into stories?
Let's get into it.
All right. So anybody who maybe hasn't or has been watching our review shows, we haven't done one of these in a while. So basically, me and AJ are going to go back and forth and kind of pick out some funny, weird, or just news stories we found interesting on the old interwebs, and see if we can't make something funny and or interesting out of them. AJ, I'll let you go first.
All right, here we go. Man trying to break masturbation record, world record, has specific approach to self-pleasure.
Oh,
a man claimed he was attempting to achieve the world record for time spent masturbating, and his self-pleasure approach is very specific. Drake Hardy is a 40-year-old bisexual man who said he was attempting to undergo the longest period of time masturbating during a 2018 interview. The claim to be is Mosanabu Sato's 9 hours and 33 minutes. Damn, man. Which was recognized by the Center for Sex and Culture way back in 2009. Interestingly, the record is actually part of the San Francisco establishment's annual Masturbate-a-thon fundraiser. The latter event simultaneously raises money for various charities, dispels self-pleasure shame, and contributes to various debates about safer sex. Hardy, a master's graduate in physical sciences, claimed he had already beat the record, but did it away from prying eyes. Speaking to Mel magazine at the time, he said, "I knew I could beat it. Actually, I've beat the record, but by myself, without a witness. I figured there's a world record for something I happen to be pretty good at, and we have a chance and have a chance of beating." He added, "Who hasn't dreamed of being the best in the world at something?" Hardy claimed he can masturbate for a total of 10 hours and 10 minutes and offered readers his tried and tested tips for lasting longer. Speaking to the publication, he explains first he gets in the mood by putting on some music and setting lighting. This is a time to focus on pleasuring me, he explained. The to-be champion also claimed that sex toys help to extend his marathon sessions. It goes beyond 6 hours, but I strive to keep it pleasurable. I won't continue if I'm not receiving pleasure, and certainly will stop if it becomes painful. While he doesn't advocate for people masturbating for any insane length of time, the to-be record holder did say that he wanted people to focus on pleasuring themselves more. Don't just make yourself come in 5 minutes because you're horny or watching porn. Focus on pleasuring yourself and finding out what turns you on and what feels good. He also admitted that to keep up momentum while masturbating, he often allows his erection to become partial tumescence. This is essentially a fancy scientific term for a penis that is partly but not fully erect. However, he admitted that resting his bits in this manner can sometimes be risky and said that this often leads to him losing momentum. The first time I did 10 hours, I remember looking at the clock and saw I was at about 6 hours and thought, okay, just a little bit more and I'm done. I was so focused that the next thing I knew, I was ready to quit, and it was 10 hours. But really, why does this man want to compete in the Masturbate-a-thon? The true reason is so that he can help inspire people to have open and honest sexual freedom, of course. I think he just likes masturbating. I think there's a reason right there.
I find it weird that he actually puts on like mood lighting and music, like it's so romantic. I'm gonna get in the mood for it. It's man, how does this guy like? First of all, he's got a lot of time on his hands.
Yeah, he does.
He's like, I can commit like over 10 hours to a good old jerk off session, but like. This guy's he's got to be keeping lubricated, otherwise he'd be beating his meat to death.
He's got to go through like a whole bottle every time he goes to this stuff, at least. And also, this got to be a workout. like he's got to lose weight doing this, right? Like he's shedding pounds masturbating for 10 hours.
The thing, he's got to be, I imagine, like have a water bottle or something. He's got to like be taking drinks at time, doesn't he? You think he's like eating with one hand too?
Oh man, I didn't think about that. But you do need to keep the caloric intake. You need the energy to keep going, don't you?
He's like eating a sandwich with one hand, jerking off with the other. And the other thing is like, for these world records, do they have to like film themselves so somebody can actually verify that they did it for this long?
It said that he's going to have a witness. So I mean, it's going to be at some event. So I'm guessing people are going to be watching him do it.
What a terrible job to be a witness for. Also, I wonder if this is in the Guinness Book of World Records.
I'm thinking there must be several people who are doing this because it's a masturbate-a-thon. So, like, yeah, you're just watching a bunch of people jerk off and masturbate or whatever.
Also, is this guy like, is he, what I want to know, is he only orgasming one time at like the very end?
That's what it seems like, because he says he gets like a half chub and like, you know, it's kind of like tantric in a way, I guess.
He's like the edging champion, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose so. That doesn't seem like fun. That doesn't sound like fun at all. That's the thing.
Like, it seems like you would make jerking off a chore rather than something you want to do. You know
exactly.
What I mean? It's like it feels like a job instead of like something good.
I mean, I think I'd get bored, you know, at some point. I'd be like, all right, man, like this is just ridiculous.
That's the other thing. And I'm like, is it at any time, is he watching porn to go along with it? Because it talks about the music and the mood lighting, but like he's got to get bored, doesn't he?
It doesn't sound like he watches porn because he was like, you know, he was saying he's encouraging people not to do like the 5-minute jerk off where they're just watching porn. So, I mean, like, he's really using his imagination, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I wonder, it's funny to be like, hear a story of like, oh, the world record guy has like 9 hours something and being like, oh, I can beat that.
Right, yeah. Like, he's done it before though. So, I mean, the experience is there.
Pretty soon there's going to be some guy that's like, I could do it for more than a day straight. That's the other thing. Like, even like 10 hours, like, wouldn't this guy be getting like so tired? I mean, you'd think he'd have to be exhausted, right?
I would think so. Also, like when he has sex, there's no way his partner wants him to last anywhere near that long.
Maybe he's just doing like
bisexual.
Maybe he's doing like a real slow jerk, like jerking off like a sloth would.
Maybe, but does that even count when you got like a half chub at some point? Like, I don't know.
I want to know the guidelines for the world record people of like what counts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they have to have some sort of weird guidelines, like oh, he has to be touching it like this quickly or something. You know?
Yeah. He's always like he's got like a feather to it, just kind of doing that for 3 hours.
Now, AJ, I don't want to put any pressure on you, but if you can beat this guy's record, it's going to get us more viewers for the podcast to have someone of that notoriety on the podcast.
Oh yeah, I'm working on it.
You got to build up.
I've been working for my whole life since I was 16 or whatever.
Okay, I got a story for you. Woman had no idea how to tell her 30-year-old daughter that her brother is actually her dad.
This. Yeah.
So a woman has admitted that she had no idea how to tell her 30-year-old daughter that her brother was actually her dad. It really does sound like something out of a soap. Heck, didn't EastEnders have a similar story with Danny Dyer's character? Now, this is a British article. I have no clue what those references are to. EastEnders, some sort of British show, I imagine.
The British are just silly.
This anonymous mum, another indication, wrote into the Atlantic's Dear Therapist earlier this year to tell all surrounding her unbelievable story. She began, when I married my husband, he had 2 adult children and I had none. We both wanted to have a child together, but my husband had a vasectomy after his second child was born too long ago to get the procedure reversed. As a result, the couple had to find a solution, though they had reservations about using a sperm bank. So instead, they asked the husband's son to be the donor. Okay, let's stop right there. That sounds so weird to me. Like, can you imagine
Yeah,
if you had a stepmom and she asked you, "Hey, can I put your semen inside of me to give yourself a, uh, another brother?" In a sense, like that's so weird of even an ask. Like so
a
creepy.
brother son.
Right, right. And like, who says yes to that proposal? It's so weird.
I have no idea. It doesn't make sense to me why anybody would do that.
And also, like her husband, who like couldn't get the vasectomy reversed, like he didn't think that was weird. Oh yeah, just use my son. It's close enough. You know what I mean?
I mean, my thinking is that maybe they wanted somebody as close as possible to the husband, so they just went with the next best option, I guess.
I think
But
that was the idea, but still, it's so
yeah,
weird. It's so
yeah,
weird that anyone would do that.
that is weird.
Um, they said we felt that was our best decision. Our child would have my husband's genes, and we knew my stepson's health, personality, and intelligence. He agreed to help. Our daughter is 30 now. How do we tell her that her father is her grandfather, her brother is her father, her sister is her aunt, and her nephew is her half brother? My husband and I are anxious, confused, and worried about telling her. This is also hard on my husband because he wants our daughter to know that he will always and forever be her father. Uh, how do we answer that? My thing is, if they waited already until she's 30,
Yeah, don't
why
tell
not
them.
just don't tell her?
Yeah, let her take
Like,
a 23 and figure it out on her own at this point. Like,
maybe that's what the thing was. Is they're like, one day she's going to take one of those tests. We might as well just get this out in the open, let her know.
yeah,
Uh, I gotta say, if I was her, I wouldn't want to know.
no.
Honestly,
Mm-mm.
they say thankfully, columnist Lori Gottlieb, who is a qualified psychotherapist, was able to provide some kind of solution. She said, as you think about how to have an honest conversation, keep in mind that there are two truths your daughter will be absorbing simultaneously. First, the person she calls her brother is her biological father, and second, the people she calls her parents have deceived her for 30 years. So, how do you go about telling someone a life changing moment? Lori started by advising the anonymous mom to state the facts as simply and clearly as possible before the inevitable apology comes. She then urged the mom take full responsibility for not telling her daughter and making sure to not make any excuses. While it is important to tell the brother involved, the psychotherapist also urged the woman to inform him if information is going to be shared in case he wishes to tell the family of his own ahead of time. Not sure what that means. Anyone else wishing they could be a fly on the wall when she breaks the news? Question mark. I mean, I guess so, but um, it just baffles me, and I wonder if any other families have done this sort of thing.
I'm sure people have, but they just don't tell anybody. I mean, look, we live in America. Like, incestuous relationships are like rampant here. Like, we don't talk about it. It's taboo to talk about it, but I think it's a really high percentage of people who have like at some point had incestuous relationships. So like, I heard a story about like a father who found his estranged daughter, and they had a relationship, and then she left him for another guy, and then he got mad and killed her and the other guy. Like,
Jeez.
yeah, people are just, they don't talk about it, but it's everywhere, man. Especially in America.
I remember it was on some sort of daytime talk show. It wasn't Jerry Springer. It was one of the more slightly legit ones. I don't remember which one, but
Yeah.
it was like this story of a half brother and half sister who met as adults, and like they ended up getting into a relationship. Maybe it was like a Dr. Phil thing. I don't remember, but
Mm-hmm.
apparently, like that's not an all like a uncommon occur like occur when that happens. Like step siblings meet as adults. Like, apparently that's not an isolated incident. Like, that's something that, for whatever reason, has happened multiple times.
Yeah, it's so weird because it's like it goes against human nature. I don't know how people get into that, how that happens, how your body allows it. Like, I don't know. That's just so weird to me.
I think we would probably be horrified if we knew, like you were talking about, just how many, like, incestuous relationships there are.
Yeah,
Like, just in
yeah,
America. Probably way more than you'd ever be comfortable knowing about.
for sure. Yeah.
Well, AJ, I'll kick it back to you.
All right, let's see what we got here. Let's go with the 70-year-old escort. Uh, yeah. Along with most frequent, along with the most frequent. Oh, I must have cut out the first part. Caroline V, who charges $120 per hour, opened up about the weirdest request she's received. She's 70 years old, and they're not for the faint-hearted. She said it's a toss-up, isn't it, between sucking the dog off and doing shit. Make up your mind, really. Which one do you think is the weirdest of those? Making a poo sandwich for somebody and then getting them to smear it all over their face when they're finished. Yeah, I've got one of those booked for next month. That's going to be fun. Coming up all the way from the Isle of Wight, this is in the UK, just to eat my poo. Caroline clarified that she would never suck off a dog. She also said that she has had clients as young as 20 and as old as 80 years old. Well, you're 70, so I mean, come on, 80, it's fine.
Wait, how much you said she charges over $100 an hour?
120 pounds per hour.
That surprises me that a 70-year-old prostitute can charge that much. That seems kind of insane if you think about it.
Also, who are these 20-year-olds who are looking for her services? Oh, man. She also explained one moment when a client asked her to fill up a large bottle with her own pee. He proceeded to drink this at a meal they had together before heading up to their hotel room, where he continued to drink while she dressed as a maid. Caroline said that was the first time I'd ever had anything to do with water sports and urine, etc. However, Caroline claims the most common fetish that clients came to her with is centered around her age. She said, you get to the point where you've done more or less what I've done, that you're not shocked anymore with what they come up with. Because when they message you, they sort of say, can I ask you something? I've had this fantasy, and you wait and you think, I wonder what this is going to be. And usually it's quite normal. They just want me to be their granny, or their auntie or whatever. And I go, yeah, that's no problem at all. Caroline claims the fetish stems from the childhood of their clients. She said because they were younger, they would either go and visit their granny, or their granny would come visit them, and they'd kind of ogle at them and wonder what was up their skirt. And they'd watch and sit and look at the stockings, and I have thoughts about playing with them and seeing what knickers they had on. So they've had these ideas about a neighbor or an aunt or somebody older than them, much more mature, and they think, I just really like to do business with them and see what it's like. So I guess the UK isn't much different from the US.
That's true. With their accent, we think of them as being fancy, but really they're just as messed up.
It's worse because they're going for their grannies.
It's just it's crazy the way people develop fetishes, and it's crazy that like that many people would have like an old woman fetish. You know what I mean? You would think it. You would think the percentage would be so low, but it can't be.
I'm so glad I can't read minds. Like, that's one of the powers that people would say they might want to have or something. But God, oh.
Of all the X-Men like type superpowers I could have, that is not one I would want.
No. You'd be hearing everybody's intrusive thoughts.
Oh, God. I think some people are such gossip hounds. I think they would just love that. Like, oh, I'll know what everybody's thinking. And I'm like, that sounds terrible. I don't want to know.
Yeah. I hate gossip anyway, because you're just talking about people. It's so boring.
I know. I never understood the gossip hounds, man. I never understood it at all. Man.
Give me some facts about space, then I'll listen to you. Tell me something interesting. Tell me what's going on in Venus, man.
The Venetians have even older prostitutes.
Great grandmothers.
Man, as soon as if we ever were visited by an alien race, like how long do you think it would take us to make like some sort of like fetish or porn out of that alien race? You know what I mean? It would be
Immediately.
it'd be like yeah,
Immediately.
immediately.
Yes.
Well, AJ, speaking of naughtiness, I got an article about 12 naughty place names from all across America. So these are basically just a collection of towns and cities with weird names.
Okay.
Number one, Ball Play, Alabama. Do you like playing with balls, either yours or someone else's? That's what Ball Play, Alabama got its name from, although the balls weren't some dude's pendulous parts. Instead, the roughly 1,500 resident town is named after ancient sports matches. Ball play was founded in the early 19th century near a spot where Native Americans would reportedly gather to play stickball to resolve intertribal conflicts without resorting to warfare. Number two, speaking of balls, Blue Ball, Pennsylvania. You might think giggling at Blue Ball's name is a recent phenomenon, but it's really a long running tradition. People were laughing at the place already in 1916. The name stems from the Blue Ball Hotel that was founded here more than 200 years ago, before any actual town existed. Eventually, a small village grew around the hotel, and its name transferred to the newly established town. By the way, the Blue Ball Motel, I think, is where that guy that beats off for 10 hours goes to.
Yeah, why'd they call the hotel Blue Ball? Like,
that's true. It's like, oh, it stems from this old hotel, but it's like, yeah, okay, well, but where did that get its name from? You know what I mean?
It's a hotel. People are supposed to get laid there, man.
That's true. Who wants to go to a hotel called the Blue Ball Hotel?
Right.
Like, well, number three is a place everybody wants to go: Buttzville, New Jersey. The name of Buttzville, New Jersey, commemorates the proud legacy of its founder, Michael Robert Butz, because he is what you think when you hear the name, right? He really should have gone with Mikestown or something else. But at least his decision to honor his family name put this hamlet with 200 residents on the map. In Montana, we of course have Butte, Montana, which everyone wants to call Butte, Montana.
Is there really a team called the Butte Pirates? Is that a real thing?
I don't think so, but
Okay.
it would be fantastic if there was. Number four, Climax, Georgia. This town isn't named after that kind of climax. Instead, its name stems from the fact that the highest point of the railroad between Savannah and the Chattahoochee River is near the place.
Chattahoochee.
That's a good name, too. So the town is near the climax of the railroad. Number five, Colon, Nebraska. Colon, Nebraska didn't get its name by accident. It was purposefully named Colon in 1886 by its first postmaster, who hailed from Colon, Michigan. And why is that place called Colon? Well, we couldn't find out. Maybe it's a reference to the place being in the ass end of nowhere. Fun fact, Colon is 7 miles away from Saunders County seat, which is called Wahoo. Isn't there Cologne, Germany as well?
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't know if they spell it the same way, but like if I was this town, I'd be like, it's not it's not Colon, it's Cologne. Number six, Hooker, Oklahoma.
Oh boy.
There's a local saying in Hooker, Oklahoma. It's a location, not a vocation. The town is named after cattle rancher John Hooker Threkheld, who was a famed cowboy in the area. He got his nickname for being unmatched at roping cows with a lasso. It was a different time. It seems like a lot of these places are just named after people with bad names.
Yeah, maybe they were trying to like change the like connotation, of like what their names, are. Like, let's change Hooker into a good thing,
Number seven is a place I've heard about because it's been used in jokes before. Intercourse, Pennsylvania. Intercourse is a respectable town in Pennsylvania's Amish country. kind of ironic that it's an Amish country.
Yeah, that's true.
So how did it come that it has a name like that? No one's quite sure, but one theory says intercourse once meant fellowship or camaraderie. Weirdly enough, the place was called Cross Keys until 1814, when its name was changed to Intercourse. If only they'd known at the time. Number 8, PP Township, Ohio.
What? No.
We admit we're children, but we just can't stop giggling at the name PP Township. It's named after Pee Creek, which flows through Pike County, Ohio. The creek in turn got its name from an early settler who carved his initials PP on a tree that used to grow on the stream.
Really? That's what they named it after? Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Whether he went PP in the creek has been lost to history. You don't want to go swimming in PP Creek.
One guy carves PP into a tree, and everybody's like, well, that's the name. That's what we're going with now.
It'd be like a historian's like, enough with this name. I did my homework, and this guy's name was like Peter Pussy. We're changing the name.
I mean, God forbid somebody go carve some like Dongschlinger into a tree now. Who knows?
I discovered this country. Number 9, Rough and Ready, California. They're rough, they're ready, they're named after U.S. General and America's 12th President, Zachary Taylor. Taylor, known as a fearless and hardworking military man, received the nickname Old Rough and Ready for his tough attitude. This town got its name from the Rough and Ready mining company that was named in honor of President Taylor. Wasn't
They did the Rough Riders?
Yeah, the Rough Riders.
I think that was Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt.
Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah,
the
Rough Riders.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody back there, rough riding. Number 10, Spread Eagle, Wisconsin.
Oh, man.
We know what you're thinking, but Spread Eagle got its name from a geographical feature. The town is located by a series of lakes. If you look at the area from the air, the lakes kind of sort of look like an eagle spreading its wings, instead of something else being spread. I mean, fair enough, but couldn't they have called it like Eagle Lake, Wisconsin, or something?
Yeah, something.
Number 11, this one was actually founded by Mel Gibson. Sugar Tit, Kentucky. Sugar Tit was once known as Pleasant Ridge, which later became Gunpowder. Those were much better names, but after the tiny hamlet became more or less integrated into Florence, Kentucky, the name Sugar Tit remained. According to stories, the name comes from local men going into town in winter to have a few shots of whiskey to warm themselves up. If they ended up missing dinner, their wives would note that they'd been out sucking a sugar tit, which is what they called pacifiers at the time.
What? The pacifiers awful. Cover up their breath or something?
Yeah, I don't really understand that either. Man, some of this like old West jargon, you're like, I don't even know how they came to be.
No.
Maybe they're like, maybe it was like, baby need his bottle like of alcohol or something. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Number 12. This is the last one. Tight Squeeze, Virginia. Oh. It's funny that it was in Virginia. There's actually quite an interesting story behind Tight Squeeze's name. In 1870, shopkeeper W.H. Colbert built his general store right by the road so that women would be able to step right in out of their carriages without dirtying themselves on the muddy road. Sometime later, a blacksmith built his shop opposite Colbert's store, also right by the road. The two buildings were so close to each other that wagons had to slow down to be able to squeeze by. The place name was at one point in time officially changed to Fairview. Locals protested so much, however, that authorities reverted their decision, keeping the Tight Squeeze name to this day. I wonder if those buildings are still there.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too.
You know what? I'm surprised they don't have on here. I remember seeing in an episode of like Jackass, or maybe it was one of the Jackass movies. It was like a town called Mianus, Connecticut.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they had this running joke of like, oh, look, he's peeing in my anus, and they just had like a bunch of these different things. So like, I was kind of surprised that one didn't make the list, but
Darn.
alas, it
Maybe
did
next time.
not. All right, AJ, back to you.
All right. If you think this is going to be a hard read, you should try writing it. It seems that snakes really need to stick to ladders after a woman's pet python took a bite out of a partner's penis, causing very bloody scenes. Australian adult star Danny DeBello opened up on a recent, very traumatic incident which saw her giant pet snake attack her male partner in the privates. I want to introduce you to Betty. She's my Centralian carpet python, Danny DeBello said on an Instagram video posted on Wednesday, November 8th. She's about 8 feet long. I've never had an issue with her biting or anything until today. Shortly after filming content together, the terrifying incident took place. DeBello explained, so earlier I had a friend over. We shot a video. Once we were finished doing that, he jumped into the shower, but he did mention he wanted to hold my pet snake afterwards. When her partner got out of the shower, the adult film star placed Betty on his shoulder before she went down to the bathroom to freshen up. Heard a massive scream. I turned around and see that Betty is holding on to his private parts, and she's tried to pull her off of it. After a few minutes, we got her off, and I put her back in her enclosure, and there was blood everywhere, so we cleaned all that up. DeBello eventually managed to pull the snake off the man's penis. However, the python was left with no little teeth because they were still inserted in the partner's willy. The 47-year-old was holidaying in South Africa when she had to go to the bathroom to answer nature's call. But when she sat down, she didn't notice the highly venomous snake waiting in the bottom of the bowl, who ended up sinking its teeth into his balls. The snake ejected its venom into the man's private parts, and he ended up being in an incredible amount of pain. He was flown to the nearest hospital, which was 350 kilometers away, and by then the pain had spread from his genitals to his stomach and chest, and he started vomiting. Doctors performed a surgical debridement, which involves thoroughly cleaning the wound and removing all hyperkeratotic, infected, and dead tissue. I mean...
This was in Australia, right?
Well, she was in South Africa at the time.
Oh, South Africa.
Like. She's Australian, though.
Oh, she's Australian. Yeah. Well, another place is off my list.
Yep.
That's horrifying.
I mean, Australia, I definitely wasn't going to anyway. Right. But I mean, yeah, South Africa, they got the penis biting snakes with the venom. So. I mean, that guy's not doing porn again. I don't think so. If this necrotic skin or whatever, like.
Yeah, it sounds like that's what they did, right?
Teeth in there.
They kind of like talked around it, but they filmed some sort of porn, right? That's what it sounded like.
Yeah. I mean, that porno's got to be worth a fortune now. If you think about it, like, she should just sell it on like Blu-ray or whatever, because. That's his last ever possible appearance, I would think. Unless he starts coming out with like the schlong with teeth, you know.
Like, hey, you got a fetish for like mangled dick porn? Somebody
and
does.
Balls.
Yeah. Man, I just a couple of weeks ago I watched an episode of Your Mom's House, and they showed this video on there of this woman like screaming. And she was like, I just peed. And she's filming her toilet, and it has a snake coiled in there. And I'm like, oh my God, that is so horrifying.
And that just confirms our fears, because I think a lot of people are afraid of like what could come out of the toilet. Like it's like a human nature, like to see a hole like that big and think snakes could be in there, you know?
Right. And I think that their video that they watched was in Florida, so, you know.
Was it a house or was it an apartment complex?
It didn't say.
Because like I saw a story about an apartment complex having that because somebody else's snake got loose and went through the pipes in the complex and went to another apartment.
Oh, but God.
Being a house, man, that sucks. That's even worse, man. Just
It's so horrifying. Like I couldn't live in a place where that's even a possibility, to be honest.
No. Florida is like America's Australia. Like I don't want to go there either.
It really is. And like, if I did live in a place like that and that actually happened, just seeing like a snake in the toilet, I'd be like, well, I'm moving to northern Canada. I'll see you.
Exactly. I think
Like,
what's crazy is I think New Zealand is safe from all that. Australia's right there. It's got all the creepy crawlies, and New Zealand doesn't have any of that stuff. I mean, New Zealand wins.
yeah, if that's true, yeah. If I have to pick New Zealand, you win.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how people would feel comfortable living in places where like that's a possibility. And plus, not only that, you got spiders like as big as your head everywhere, and it's just like, oh god, terrible. It's hot all the
If you can
time.
get out of there, get out of there. That's what my thinking would be. Like, you're surrounded by predators and anything that can just kill you or kill your skin cells, like, causing that necrosis of the skin. Like, it's just horrible, man.
Yeah, I do kind of feel like at this point, if you live in Australia or Florida or a place like this, like it's your own fault. Like stories like this have happened now, and like
Yeah,
it's up to you to move to a better place.
yeah, yeah. I mean, India has king cobras, and
Oh
that scares the
god.
shit out of me, man. Like, I don't want to go. Like, I've been there, but luckily I've never seen one. And there are a lot of people who work in that industry to catch snakes and stuff like that. But man, that makes me nervous. But it's cobras, it's one thing, but Australia has so many different things. Like, it's a smorgasbord of crazy creatures, that they're just, I don't know, man. You're risking your life when you go out there. I saw. I think you told me about it. I saw this video, like where a big old spider is on this guy's car,
Right.
and oh my gosh,
Yeah, and it like gets in the hatch in the
it gets
back.
in the hatch. Yeah, I
I'm
saw
like,
that video.
horrifying, horrifying.
Oh god, I mean, snakes scare me, but I think spiders scare me more for some reason. I don't even know why, but a spider the size of my hand. Oh my god, that's terrifying.
I don't like either. Snakes definitely scare me more, but like if we had the spiders that are the size of your hand, those would freak me the hell out.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, I feel like a snake is more visible. You could catch the snake faster. You could see it. A spider is so elusive and able to hide so easily and
Well,
just,
snakes are fast as hell too, though, and they can get in
yeah, it's
places
true
where you
too.
can't reach. So
Gosh,
I think that's one of the things that makes them both kind of scary is the fact that they are fast and they can get to places where you can't reach them. And then it's just like, oh, I know they're there, but you know what I mean?
yeah.
It plays on your fears big time. And they're just creepy. They're both creepy.
I mean, America, I think it's safer, because like you hear about rattlesnakes like down south maybe, but I've never. I mean, you know what? I've seen snakes though. I've seen garden snakes. I've seen my family. They've gone walking around in Oregon and they've seen snakes. So I mean, those are everywhere.
Yeah.
Like you can't get away from these guys, except if you're in New
Unfortunately.
Zealand,
Man, if that's true, I might have to move to New Zealand.
right?
If we have any uh, single New Zealand listeners, hit me up. Let's see. Okay, I think I got a story we can go out on. Burglars steal two valuable tanks from Irish farm containing bull semen. There's so many valuable things you could steal in this world. There's money, gold, jewelry, high-tech gadgets, even mere information can fetch ridiculous prices when sold to the right person. But none of those things were good enough for the Irish thieves from our story. They wanted something completely different. They stole bull semen. Two tanks containing the frozen cattle emissions recently disappeared from a farm in Northern Ireland. Needless to say, the theft has baffled the local farming community. There are a lot of things on the farm that would be easier to steal than bull semen and can still fetch a decent price on the black market. Additionally, the semen tanks aren't particularly easy to handle, so unless the thieves know what they're doing, they may easily render their price sterile thing, in which case we really, really don't want to know anything more about it. The theft happened at a farm in Clogher, County Tyrone, some 50 miles from Belfast. 2 tanks containing doses, or straws as they're called, of bull semen disappeared from an outbuilding in which they were stored. No one's quite sure at the time when exactly the burglary happened, as the storage facility isn't under any kind of active surveillance. It makes sense, though, since who in their right mind would want to steal male bull goo? According to the BBC, the local police believe the theft took place between October 21st and October 23rd. That's quite a large window, but at least the cops have something to work on. Now, it's not like the semen tanks are completely worthless. They can have significant value, as the police put it. Depending on the breed and other characteristics of the bull that produced the goods, a straw of semen can sell for a high price. For example, semen from one now deceased prize-winning Charolais bull sells for around $600 a pop. The liquid nitrogen tanks in which the semen is stored can be valuable in themselves too. A brand new tank can cost nearly $2,500, but it's unlikely the thieves will get anything near that by selling the stolen tanks. It's the semen that's the valuable thing here, but the thieves better know what they're doing or they'll quickly ruin their loot. The tanks they stole are small enough that they can be transported in the backseat of a regular car. That's easier said than done, however, as vibration can easily shake their lids off. After that, I like the idea of these thieves like stealing this, and then they hit a bump, and it's just like bull semen all over their car. Second, the liquid nitrogen is not something you want splashing around your car. Additionally, the tanks need to be constantly topped up with new liquid nitrogen to keep them functional. With all that said, other local farmers have no idea why the thieves decided to go after the semen. There's so many other things on farms that would have been easier to steal and resell. The burglars could have stolen tools, ATVs, or even the bulls themselves, and it would have been simpler on them. I don't know. To me, I mean, I guess you have the ticking clock of maybe the semen getting too hot and then being worthless if you don't get it to a freezer in time. But it still seems easier than actually stealing the bulls themselves. That seems like a harder thing to steal.
Look, man, I don't rule out the sexual side of this. There's too many stories of people getting by animals, like, and it's everywhere. Like,
it does seem to be more prevalent than you'd want.
Yeah, like you hear about donkey shows, you hear about like this. First of all, humans are the grossest creatures on this planet, man. Humans are by far the nastiest creatures. Ugh. But I could definitely see somebody like filling up their tub and jumping in or something like that.
And then after that, they're going to eat a granny poop sandwich.
Yeah, right? Oh, my gosh. If anything this podcast has done for you is it's lowered your expectations of humanity.
That's true. In a way, it almost, watching and listening to our podcast should make you feel better about yourself. You can be like, hey, there are people worse than me, objectively worse than me.
For sure, yeah. But yeah, I could definitely see somebody drinking this stuff, lathering up in this, whatever, putting it on their face as a moisturizer, as a cream. Yeah.
And also, who knows? Maybe their plan worked. Maybe they sold it and got money out of it.
Yeah.
It's could have been valuable stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if they found out it was like an inside job, because like how many people would have known it was there?
I would think like the best thing would be like a fellow farmer, somebody who like knows what they're doing, because otherwise you're wasting all this stuff anyway, like you're reducing the value by a lot with whatever mistakes you make with it. So in a weird way, I hope somebody knows what they're doing.
That's the other thing. The person who would buy like the stolen bull semen, yeah, you would think it's probably a farmer who knew what it was worth, Yeah. So I'm surprised the cops like couldn't track down. But then again, like if this particular batch of semen was like, really worth a lot of money, you would have thought that building would have been under surveillance, had security cameras and stuff, and it didn't. So I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, maybe it was insured. Who knows?
Oh, they stole the bull semen for the insurance money.
Yeah.
Could be. You never know about these things. Now I just want
insure anything.
Now I just want to make like a Fargo like comedy of errors like thing where like some guys like I said do like steal like gallons of bull semen and then
it's
it
like spilling all over them and everything.
And there's like liquid nitrogen like coming out of the car windows and just like semen like all over their car.
There's a trail.
Oh yeah, the cops like following a semen trail. I think something could be done with that.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right, AJ. Anything else you want to add before we wrap this bad boy up?
I have one more article.
Oh yeah, if you want to
get into it. Okay, woman who had sex with 300 people in a year has set a new challenge for herself.
Man, there's a theme to this show today.
Definitely. The OnlyFans star who dubbed herself another Australian, most sexually active woman has set herself a new challenge. Annie Knight hits headlines earlier this year after claiming she had been fired from her job after they discovered her OnlyFans account. How the hell was she working and doing this at the same time? I don't know how you have time for that. The Aussie told SBS Insight the email contained screenshots from her account plus 3 reasons for her dismissal. The reasons include allegations she falsely claimed having a side business, shared online pornographic images with crude language, and hadn't sought the company's permission to run the side gig. I don't think... Why do you need the company's permission? Although Knight admitted by day 5, I hated the job so much that I wasn't going to fight the ruling, but I was definitely upset and very angry at the decision. Knight also claims that she had bedded a staggering 300 people in a single year, including 5 on the same day, and I can't even get a text back. Oh, that's just the right. Knight said she found sex empowering, telling the Kyle and Jackie O show, "Sex makes me feel good." Rocket science here. It's meant to make you feel good. Okay. But she's now set herself a brand new challenge and is hoping to go on a date every week after being single for 3 years. In an interview with the Daily Star, Knight said she's never had so much of a dating life, but wanted to change that this year. I used to go on a date going about 3 dates a year, so that's why I wanted to do this now, she told the publication. I've never been much of a dater, so I wanted to give myself an incentive, and I'm holding myself accountable for posting the reviews of the dates online. Who's going to go on a date with this girl if she's posting reviews of the dates online?
Now, I assume this woman is like a porn star if she was able to line up like 300 guys.
Yeah, she's a porn star. She's an OnlyFans. However, the path to true love has proved to be a bit bumpy for Knight, who has also revealed that she's already had to deal with several catfish. She went on, some men have catfished me as they looked a lot better in photos than they did in real life and lied about their height. Height, man, that's a big thing these days. Women are very picky about height, and short kings are suffering for it. Some of them were really rude to the waiters, and that's a huge turnoff for me. Hey, I respect that. Good. So I left straight away. I'm very picky, but there's been 5 guys that I've gone on second dates with, and I did go on 2 third dates. To keep herself accountable, Knight has shared reviews of her dates on TikTok. That I don't think is a good idea, which have racked up tens of thousands of views. I mean, look, before I go on one date with this girl, I have to up my body count. I have to get on her level because she's got 300 in a year.
I mean, I don't think you can get on her level.
No. You have to pay for it for sure. If you're a guy, you have to pay. But I mean, just to like feel like you can even be in the same league as her, you have to be like, all right, open up the wallet, go on some excursions, go to Thailand or something. Because that's intimidating, man. A girl's been with 300 people in a year.
Also, her being with that many guys, like, I don't know what it would be, but I think she needs a better porn name, like a good pun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But God, it's insane. And like, I know she's not the only one, because I've heard of like other women like trying to beat like gangbang records and stuff. And I'm like, it's just insane. Like,
I think the record is over 1,000 men.
Oh God, that's so many.
That's so many. I mean, Also, I'd be worried about so many things, that come along with having that many sexual partners.
That's the other thing is like, I mean, I assume if it's a reputable like porn company, they're all testing all these
Well, she's a
guys.
OnlyFans, so I mean, she doesn't have the same stringent like stuff going on that
I mean, with that many guys, she'd be crazy if she didn't have them tested. But
yeah.
I
But I mean,
mean,
300 a year. Are you going to have every one of them tested? I don't know.
oh me,
5 in one day, like that. That makes me think like she's probably a little lax on the criteria there.
yeah, who knows it? You probably wouldn't want to date this woman. She's probably got like,
Yeah, it might look like God knows what down there.
her crabs probably have crabs at this point.
I mean, you hope she's taking care of herself. I don't know. But yeah, man, 300 partners, that's a lot. I mean, it also makes you think she knows what she's doing, sexually. Like she has to have learned something on that time. So I mean, like,
she's put in her 10,000 hours of practice.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think like maybe she can do stuff that other people aren't able to, do, but I fear STDs too much, man. I don't know. Yeah.
Man, I also wonder about those women that are doing like 1,000 guy gangbangs. Like, even if they're using like so much lube, which they have to be, you would think they would get so sore after 1,000 guys, wouldn't they?
I don't know, man. Like, I would think so. Some women are just built different, though. There are some women you can shove a whole fist up there, a whole head up there. So
That's true. That's true.
I mean, maybe they just don't feel it, or I don't know what the difference is. But I mean, some women like, they definitely feel it. Like some women are, like they're assaulted, and you hear about like how there's been damage to them and stuff like that. So porn stars, man, they're just built tough. They're built tougher,
I guess.
Like the Ford F-250s of porn stars or something. These gangbang people.
Although AJ, again, for the podcast, if you could get a date with this woman and we could chronicle that.
She would already be chronicling it. She would have a review up the next day. This cheap guy took me to whatever. Oh my god!
Took me to Long John Silver's.
Oh man.
Well, AJ, I think that's going to do it for the show today. We do thank everybody very much. If you will, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. And you can subscribe in audio form on your podcast catcher of choice. Please give us the 5-star reviews, thumbs up, comments down below. If you want, you can follow me over at Twitter/X at Zach Jones Live. That's ZachJonesLive. And that is going to do it for all of our shenanigans and poppycock this week. Please, please, please tune in again next week. Bye, guys.
Take care.